Here's a lovely story on BBC Radio Devon. After years of hard work and fundraising, a set of 6 bells will be dedicated today at an East Devon church. This is at the ancient Church of St Nicholas in Combe Raleigh. Up until recently, there were only 3 bells, but when they needed an overhaul, the locals decided to see if they could replace the 3 with 6. And today, the Bishop of Exeter will be at the church to perform a service of dedication. Trevor Hitchcock is one of the Combe Raleigh bell ringers, and he joins us on the programme this morning. Trevor, very exciting day.
It is, yes, very important day as well.
Yeah, well, tell us the story. How did it all come about?
Well, it goes back to 2008 as far as this project is concerned, when some visitors came and rang the bells, and we hadn't heard them for the best part of 50 years. And the question was asked, if they can be rung, why aren't they?
Yeah.
And our church warden came back and said, if you want the bells rung, you better learn how to ring them. And we started, and very shortly we discovered that 3 bells could be a bit boring. But when we looked into it, the frame would actually take 5. So the initial idea was to add 2 extra bells so that we had 5. And this seemed to be possible for a reasonable sum of money. The estimate was around $45,000. The project now is run up to roughly $110,000.
Goodness me.
As we became more ambitious, all the bell hangers that we talked to said that you won't be happy with 5, you really ought to have 6. And then, of course, the frame was no good, so we need to do something with that. And you have an extra bell to pay for as well.
And they're not cheap, are they?
They aren't cheap, no, although the bells are not the most expensive thing we found. It's all the ancillaries that go with it. And first thing, of course, get the frame changed. The recommendation was for a steel frame, which the powers that be said, no, you need to keep the wooden frame. It's of historical interest, which seemed to have scuppered the whole project for a while, until our bell hanger came up with a brilliant idea that he could modify it to take 6 bells. And the modification was duly approved, and we set off from there. So now we have 6 bells, and we're very happy with them. They sound quite nice in our view anyway. But the problem, other than that, was raising the funds. And initially we started off very gently with the odd car boot sale and so on. And then one spring, noting that the church, somewhere around St. Valentine's Day, came the idea of having a snowdrop tea. We would invite people to come and admire the snowdrops in the churchyard, and then they could have tea and cake to sustain them before they went home.
Right.
And this exceeded our wildest expectations. We thought if we made 100 or 2, that would be fine. And in fact, we made around 500 on the first one. So we've been doing that every year since, and we share that money. Half went to the Bell Fund and half went to the church, because we were very aware that if there was no church, there would be no bells, and hence no bell ringers would be required. So we really wanted to support the church as well.
Yeah. Well,
and from then on, we ran all sorts of things with ceilidhs and talks and concerts and so on. One of our most successful talks, in fact, was by Tony Beard, who talked about the Dartmoor I Love. And that was the first time we had an item that raised over £1,000 in one evening. We were very pleased with that. And we've been blessed with some very generous grants. The Devon Church Bell Restoration Fund came up with a large grant. Viridor Credit's another one. There are a whole host of them, but those were the 2 biggest.
Well, it's a fantastic effort, and I imagine today will be very emotional for you all. It's been a long journey, hasn't it? It's
been a long journey, and yes, it is a bit emotional. And as far as we can recall, it's the first time certainly the first time in living memory, that a bishop has been to take a service at Combe Raleigh, so that's another great pointer for us.
Indeed.
We know he's been to the church because he signed the visitors book last February when he popped in, but we didn't see him on that occasion. But we'll certainly see him today.
Yeah, I'll bet. And no pressure on you bell ringers, but you've got to come up to scratch now, haven't you?
No pressure at all. We just have to ring a short piece during the service, which our tower captain has said, you better get right.
I'm sure you will. Well done, and enjoy those bells. It's a great story, and congratulations to all of you for the hard work that's meant that you can bring back the bells to Church of St Nicholas in Combe Raleigh. And thank you for joining us this morning, Trevor.
My pleasure.